to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, oh, Lori and Joe aren't here. That's kind of who was first person on the agenda. Okay, we'll move on and we'll come back to them when they get here. Have you talked to them, Doug?
Yeah, Lori today, she's coming,
Yeah.
she said she's gonna be 15 minutes late.
Oh, okay, gotcha, okay.
Not 10 this time. just 10.
Okay, well, then let's just move on then to the, representative appointment for Ripley County Planning Commission. Milton Tier resigned, from that position. Does anybody have a suggestion? I had said Rick would do it if you guys are okay with it, and then I'll at least be able to fill you in on what's going on.
If he's volunteering, yeah, I don't have anybody else.
Okay, so we just need a motion to approve Richard
I'll make a
Sheehy.
motion that we appoint Mr. Sheedy to represent us, or Shoemate over at the county.
Okay,
Sorry.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Christmas walk, insurance coverage, talked to, Randy, basically, Randy Roberts, same as last year. Melissa, do you have anything to add? It's basically just for the day policy of their stuff, so it's protection from wind and storms and stuff like that. So.
And then accidents or anything.
The town was already covered with our insurance he said we're golden with all of that, so we don't need to worry about, cause that could be for anything. Sporting events, anything else that happens on the regular over there, we're covered for all of that. So, it's just basically for more than anything more to help them with their stuff. I think the tent company needed some kind of a policy, and that's kind of why we did it. And basically, it was a couple $100 for us to do it versus them starting their own policy, and it's gonna be over 1,000 probably or more. You guys good with that?
Yep.
Motion,
I'll make a motion. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's Lori. Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
good, how are you all?
Good.
Am I the only thing on the agenda?
Yeah, well, we had a couple other things, but we thought we would get them taken care of, well, so we just did. Is Jill coming or?
No, just me.
Okay.
I was a little under the weather earlier in the week and I'm back to mostly full speed, so.
Okay, well, I'm
I-
glad to hear that,
I got to come.
so we can let you go ahead if you're ready.
Sure, so primarily I'm here to kind of follow up on the water project and help get some of those things to close out. So there's two parts to that. One is, kind of the contractor things, and then secondly is the, one of the requirements with the funding is the asset management plan certification, so we can talk about that some as well.
Okay.
So here's just a little bit of a kind of project, update. So the water tank project,
Hey Doug, you wanna pull a chair over and then we can just all go.
You can sit in one of these if you
Oh.
want. I got another one.
okay, all right.
Comfy.
So for the tank project, the construction's complete. So the kind of final documents for that are the certificate of substantial completion, And so that's when the tank is complete, then that starts your 1-year warranty period.
Okay.
So I know the tank contractor came last week and, kind of helped work on some flushing and additional chlorination, and those were kind of warranty items, cause the tank was, and it was chlorinated earlier too. So anyway, that, falls kind of under the warranty. So I pushed their substantial completion date back a little bit to the end of July, so that starts
Okay.
that 1-year warranty period. So that's a copy, if I brought enough for, on the certificate of substantial completion. I talked to Doug, and I don't think there's really any punch list items per se, like touching up paint, correcting stripe locations. We got that. We got that part done. Anyway, so the certificate of substantial completion does a couple things. One, it sort of establishes this is basically turned over to the town, so insurance and everything covers it for the town now. It also starts the 1-year warranty period, so you might wanna consider planning on like an 11-month inspection. Sometimes Mick will come back and do like an 11-month coatings inspection just to make sure you don't see anything that we might have to contact the official.
So that would be probably by the end of June or so.
Yeah, maybe try to schedule something like that
Okay.
in June. Would be good. So that would need to be approved by the town. And then, after that is their final pay application, which is pay application 14. And that would be for release of retainage, because I think in 13 that completed all their payment for work complete. And through the project, you have retained 5% of their payments all the way through. So the retainage total is $62,223. So this would be the final pay application, number 14, for that amount. Anybody have questions on those?
That was for the tank.
Yeah, this is for, yeah, that's for this. Looks good.
So we just need to approve a final payment of the 62,223.
Yes, yeah, and you really need to approve both of these together,
Okay.
or
Oh,
but this has to be
completion.
approved first, because you can't release the retainage until the substantial completion is signed off on.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the substantial completion certification along with the final payment.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So then if you could sign this one, so I can take that one back.
Got a black pen, I've got a green. There we go, there you go, one.
And then I think we might need to just check with Gary and make sure, and if I work with them on which pot that comes out of. I don't know if there's any Okra money, but I don't know that there's any left
There's
draw
not.
down.
No,
so
it's all drawn down, yeah.
all SRF.
And they actually, emailed me and asked me to change that number on any of the disbursements that come in now. So I don't know if that's why, I don't know. Or maybe it has to do with the retainage,
Okay.
maybe, I don't know. Some DW number.
Oh, okay, the SRF number somehow. Oh, I wonder if it, you had some Swift premium, maybe they, I don't know if they sort of broke it down that way. Okay, thank you. Mike Holman's contract. We also similarly have the certificate of substantial completion for his project, which was about April 30th is, what I had there. I think that was, they were maybe finishing up some of the restoration paving, and I think all the names had been completed. And again, I think all their punch list items have pretty well been addressed, and there's been a few things we've called them back out for, a couple yards. I don't know if you hear any complaints from anybody.
No, we just can't get the damn grass to grow up that place.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up there one night. Deuce.
I know, I tried watering. Remember you asked me to water? I'm up there with my sprayer watering.
Where's it at?
He's killing it, Pittman Creek and one of them.
We have to solve the thing.
He said nothing lately, well, you wouldn't know.
I was, yeah.
Does he contact you now directly?
Jill,
Yeah, Jill.
yeah.
Jill's a virgin.
Jill worked with them.
Mm. Right. Thank you. Okay.
So, I mean, as far as I know, we've been back, a couple times and replanted, but it's been in the summer too, so
Yeah,
it's been a
and
terrible
a
time to try
drought.
and grow anything
Right.
up till now, so.
It's in the shade.
And
It's in
yeah,
the shade right now,
so,
yeah.
And what about that water main going across the river
so,
there?
we'll talk about that here in a minute
Okay.
with remaining funds,
Okay.
cause we're kind of, we don't have a lot of remaining funds, so. And I can go ahead and talk about that too if you want. So we've got, for Mike Holman, we've got pay application, we don't have their final pay app, we have pay app 11,
Okay.
which takes it up to everything except for their release of retainage, so then they'll have their final release of retainage.
Okay.
Then after that, the one item that we did get a price from Mike Holman to do, there was a line at Ripley Street that crossed the road that we didn't have included.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 6-inch line before, so we added another connection farther south, but that one's not tied in. So in order to add that, it would be, so they could use the existing pipe as a casing, the 6-inch, and put a 4-inch through there, so it would be looped.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be $24,600. So when you look at the back side of this page sheet, it talks about remaining funds. And this is one of the things I think, Melissa, we need to go get together with CERC and SRF and kind of itemize everything out. And this was our, original sources and uses of funds and verify what all's been spent. But, so there's, of the original contingency, there was $100,000. And on Division 1, we had $9,560 in change orders. In Division 2, there were 4 change orders, I think, totaled, $89,629. So,
You can make hearing this music.
yeah.
That's what you're looking at me for, cause I'm hearing it too.
Okay.
So it was you're right at, there's $810 left of the contingency, so there's not much there.
Right.
So the other thing that was left in the original funding was, $25,000 for asset management planning. And that's kind of one of the next things we'll talk about, so just kind of keep that in mind.
Okay.
It could be used for other things, or it could be, some portion of it could be used for asset management planning, and some could be used for other things. Other things being reimbursements for, out-of-pocket costs, so I know one of the things that ended up being pretty expensive was the railroad permitting and the railroad flaggers and all of that.
Mhm.
And so that actually was basically $25,000.
Right.
So, and then the cost to use the water main across the road is $25,000, so I think there's kind of some options in how that could be spent, whether it's spent toward getting that pipe under the road, whether it's spent toward reimbursement of funds. And it, you know, it maybe is a little bit of what's the financial situation and what's most urgent, for the town. But those are kind of the options I think that we have with that.
Okay.
But back to Mike Holman, just on the, what's under contract, what's been the project, the pay application for him, for their company is $62,446.64, and that includes, payment for all work complete on their change order. So basically that gets them up to, payment for 100% of everything, contract amount, except for outstanding retainage held, which is $167,362. And their last, I think, invoice was in May, excuse me, and so I think last month you approved their change order that kind of was the final quantity adjustment. And so now that that's all approved, this can go through, because that, we needed to get the contract amount trued up.
Questions on that? So you just need a motion to approve that one as well then? And that one's by itself, no other completion
Okay, actually, I
certification?
do have,
Or is that what this is?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my comments. Yes, we do have the
Certificate of substantial
substantial
completion
completion, yeah,
along with,
payout number 11, I think it is.
I'll make a motion to approve and pay.
Second.
all in favor? Alright, you want to sign this one, Lori?
Yes, please.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Okay. And then the last thing, that I have is asset management planning and the certification. So with a state revolving fund loan program, one of the requirements is before you make your last payment to the contractor is that the town certified that they have an asset, it's an asset management plan certification. So, I think Jill's maybe talked to me about this a little bit, it's probably been a while, and Doug. And there's actually some new rules coming out. Excuse me. So I'll just kind of try and walk through this with the certification form. This is the form that you'll have to fill out. You can sign this tonight if you're comfortable with it. If not, we can think about it, we can review it, revise it. But I'll kind of talk you through what all that is. So this, the Indiana Code requires this with the Indiana Finance Authority, State Revolving Fund, which I said. So this fiscal sustainability plan certification, so the asset management plan shall be inclusive, I'm just gonna read this paragraph right here, because this is kind of the meat of it. Requires that drinking water projects shall include a minimum of the following: a system map, which you do have a system map of the water system. We worked on that, also in the preliminary engineering report, so it was included, plus now we've got updates with the new water mains. An inventory and assessment of system assets. So your map identifies your water mains in approximately sizes and locations. It's not exact in all locations, but it, you know, it shows you where your mains and valves and hydrants are. And so this is an example of what that inventory, can look like, or kind of, this is sort of the prescribed inventory setup. So, for example, it can list everything from your trucks, land, or trucks and equipment, like if you have dump trucks, backhoes. You don't have any water treatment, so there's nothing there. Water master meter, those are Hoosier Hills' meters, so you don't have to own and maintain that. So your water mains, and there's just kind of a short list here. I think this was really kind of developed, Jill said kind of this was part of our earlier draft that lists a lot of these projects that you've already, that were done within this project. You don't have a booster station, water meters. You can kind of list your water meters. A lot of times we'll put them in there kind of by year they were installed. If you were gonna replace your water meter every 10 or 12 years. I can't remember what your cycle is for meter replacement, but this is a way to kind of track all those things. Hydrants, valves, so where's it located, what's the size, what's the material, if you know. There's a lot of information you may not have, like who manufactured the pipe before in the ground 30 years ago. I'm not gonna know that, but we could put that in for the new stuff that just went in. And then you could do that, you know, moving forward. Original cost, not really critical to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what the original cost is. But the replacement cost can be helpful, and then, like, if you have the year it was installed, then you kind of can estimate what's the expected useful life. So if water mains have a normal useful life of 60 years, and it was put in 40 years ago, you know, it can, sure. Sorry.
Got a tickle and I'm like trying to.
So, and then there's this additionally kind of going on to that is a conditional rating of, you know, what's the condition of the pipe? And there's kind of a scale, you know, if it's 5, it's in terrible shape, 1, it's in new condition, and then there's a probability of failure, and then a consequence of failure, so.
Last one.
I'll share it.
No, you're good, you're good. You know, if it's on your main feed line, the consequence of failure would be significant, you know, if the town was out of water, if that line failed, things like that, so. Ultimately, this would be, ideally what would be beneficial to build out, kind of for tracking purposes, and when you replace line, you can update it and so forth. So that doesn't have to be complete to certify this, but it's one of those things that should be in development, in progress.
So, I don't know that we even have a plan for replacing meters. Is there an average lifespan for, because I think we're just replacing all of them here in the last few years.
I think since 18.
Yeah, so
So,
I don't know,
Yeah.
is 10 years like a reasonable?
Yeah, 10 to 12 years has historically been kind of a good planning
Okay,
life. I will say the newer meters coming out now, they're usually promoting a 20-year battery life on the remote reads. So, and most of the meter companies will even prorate, they'll replace it up to 10 years, they'll replace it, and then I think they prorate them after that on age, if
okay,
they don't have that actual life that they guarantee. So that is, you know, I would say older meters, probably 10 or 12 years, but yeah, with the newer generations of meters coming out, hopefully a longer service life.
and is that just a matter of the batteries start failing, is that kind of usually what happens, or is it
That
the
is
main
one,
thing?
yeah, that's one thing that happens. The meters themselves tend to start under registering, or the traditionally used propeller meters will tend to get built up and under register over time.
I see.
So it's kind of like your cash register slows down.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you replace meters, you'll see an increase in revenue and usage, not because they're using more, but just because the old meter wasn't registering as
Oh,
much.
I see.
So
So
sometimes,
It's
yeah,
probably good just to go ahead and do it as a maintenance thing then.
definitely, I think it's really good to plan
Mhm.
for replacing them, and if you can, kind of incorporate into that over a 10-year cycle, if you're replacing, 40 meters a year, and then, some years you can't do that many, but you're at least continuing to build that program, and
Good to know.
service lines are kind of another item that we put on here, and sometimes we'll put higher priority and lower, if you've got certain areas of town that kind of have a repeat problem with service line leaks, you would kind of plan, maybe we're gonna replace 15 service lines a year, or 20 service lines a year. And those are the kind of things that can go into your, annual replacements budget.
We did have some lines that were probably future replacements, right, that weren't able to do in this project.
Yes,
So those would probably be like the priorities of the next ones to be done.
exactly.
So they could go on that, I would assume, in that spot.
Yes. Let me get back to the packet here that Jill had. And I think she's got that kind of lined out here, and I don't know if we got that updated right away. Actually, I think. So this is an example of sort of a condensed table.
Yeah, I was just thinking this looks kind of like something we talked about.
Yeah. And so, kind of water meters, has that replacement, so there's kind of an estimated remaining useful life. And then a replacement cost, and then would it be a reserves or a capital? So if it's a reserve, it's something you save for; if it's capital, maybe it's something that you borrow money for or pursue grant funds for a larger project in the future. So there's kind of some projects listed, and again, these don't have to be done in 7 years, it's just a plan. The project, so what we have this drafted with right now, what you have to certify is just what are your estimated capital asset needs in the next 5 years. Well, the project that you just did is kind of what we have listed for those capital needs, because that's what you just financed, and you're not looking at, the town's not planning on doing another project like that in the next 5 years, so that was kind of why it's laid out that way. And then what we had included for estimated annual operation, maintenance, and replacement costs for assets financed, and it's really the tank project, because a lot of these, there's not a annual cost of those. But we looked at like $15,000 a year to set aside for tank coatings in the future, so when that tank needs to be painted in 20, 25 years, that you're setting aside funds for that. And then like maybe $600 a year for electrical. There's not much out there, there's just some lights, so that was kind of what the basis is. I got a little bit sidetracked here. Development of an infrastructure inspection, repair, and maintenance plan, including funding for such activities. For your water system, I think a lot of that's really kind of like valve exercising and hydrant flushing. You don't have a plant, so, that's a good thing, you don't have to deal with a lot of that kind of maintenance. But I think really, tank inspections, every 3 to 5 years, you wanna have your elevated water tanks inspected. I don't know, Doug, if there's other things that,
We got, lady, is it
Larry comes and does your
Yeah,
tank
we've
inspections?
got a contract with them for like 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So there's already like a schedule set up with them
Yes.
to do that regularly.
How often do they do that, Doug? It's like every other year or something?
Yeah,
Okay,
I gotta find that contract.
that's fine.
Um,
Okay, sorry, back on the list. Number 4, implementation of water, G, and energy conservation efforts. There's really not much you can do here. I mean, it's LED lights. You don't have pumps, you don't have treatment equipment, you don't have anything that you're really gonna be able to do much with. Analysis of customer rates necessary to support the asset management plan. And you've already done that, you had the, financial advisors, that they did all the rate studies and everything when you did the borrowing, so.
Right.
And, you know, I think that's something that you could, Melissa continues to keep those tabs on, all those things. Audit performed at least every 2 years, which is done, and then the water loss audits, are also done every 2 years. And then the last one is the cyber vulnerability assessment. I guess it's not the last one. So I've talked to Doug about this a little bit. Because you purchase all your water and you just have the 2 tanks, you don't really have anything with your water system connected to the internet that could even be
Tampered with.
tampered with.
Yeah, I would-
So there is, I think Jill included it here, maybe she. Yeah, it's attached here to this managerial section. The cybersecurity, there's like there's a free resource that you can contact these people for a baseline cybersecurity check, and it is something that you should do every year. I thought it might be worthwhile if you wanna just reach out to them and so that you can document, you know, we contacted them, they did it, or they said, you don't have anything to check. Cause I really think Hoosier Hills keeps tabs on your tank level, and unless, even if you had something to monitor your tank level, it's not like, it's gonna, there's no way to harm the community through that.
Right.
But, so there's that, and then last was demonstration of technical, managerial, legal, financial capability to operate and maintain the system, which clearly the town has done this for many years. There's just this handout to kind of give you this information, so, you know, you have record of it and you understand, kind of the cybersecurity plan checklist, and then, I guess this was all cybersecurity, sorry. But the town has clearly been running the water utility and has all of those, capabilities, so, and the Indiana Finance Authority validated that by giving you the loan local revenue grant fund, so. Anyway, so basically the certification, says yes, we, you know, we have these things in place, or I think in this case, this is, in progress. And that you could certify that, you know, your asset needs for the next 5 years or what you just expended, you've got, you know, a plan. And this is something that is really good to look at and think about, and, you know, maybe we look at the meters and we could fine tune this to make it a little more, just to make sure that, town doesn't see anything that they'd wanna add or take off or push back a few years, those kinds of things. So, I know that's kind of a lot, but do you have any questions? Well, do you wanna approve this tonight, or do you wanna take a look at it and, no pressure, it can wait till your next meeting, or
Forward with it if you
yeah,
guys are.
alright.
I don't know that I would, unless you guys, I mean, flexible, whatever you think. You find it good with it? Guess we'll go ahead and approve it then.
Okay.
So what is it called?
This would be the, asset management program certification form.
Okay. Alright, so we need approval for the SRF Asset Management Program Certification Form.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
You wanna start on these? Take that. So then I'm gonna circle back a little bit to, we talked about earlier that there's some funding included in this borrowing that was designated kind of specifically to asset management planning. And again, it doesn't have to be, but I just wanted to kind of explain a little bit in case you want to use some of it for that, or again, if the town needs to use those funds otherwise. And you don't have to give me an answer tonight, don't feel any pressure at all, I just want to kind of share the information. So this handout with the draft across it, I don't know if you've heard about legislature passing the requirement for public utilities to do the asset management planning. So it's similar to this, but with a little bit more involvement on what's to be developed, and there's time, over time for these different steps. So this is the draft guidance that's come out. And I think they have tried to set it up to be something that can be phased in, let's see. I think page 5 here, for water utilities, procedures for submitting a report, so what you have to do. Water utilities will report the first 2 years, in the first 2 years of each 4-year cycle. So A through L will be July 1st on the first year, and M through Z, July 1st of the second year. And then it looks like they've kind of offset the third and fourth, so every other year in 4-year cycle, you'll have to report for water, and then 2 years later for wastewater. But ultimately, you know, I think they're gonna wanna see this kind of built out more completely, and, you know, a little bit more, detail on the planning and replacement and those kinds of things. So Jill, is actually looking at, she had done some kind of workshops on asset management planning before, and we've been waiting for this to get kind of finalized so that we can try and have some more just free information things for our clients to learn more about it, ask questions, and kind of see what those next steps are gonna look like. So, it may be probably, I think this is supposed to get finalized in October, so maybe November-ish. We'll have some of those things, but in the meantime, it might be something that you wanna think about. We have a lot of your information for maps and so forth. I think we could help get a lot of this filled out, you know, maybe in the $10,000 range, just for, you know, thinking if you would want, us to help out with that piece, since the funding's there. But again, you know, I know there's been a lot of different things, so I think it's something you all need to talk about and see where do we most need to spend, you know, that kind of $25,000. And then I think probably too, Melissa, it'd be good if we kind of get all the final numbers trued up and make sure that that's exactly what's kind of remaining that could be spent. So the kind of areas are asset management, maybe reimbursement for railroad stuff, or the water line under that
So you said around 10,000,
Great Lake.
you guys don't think you can do it for $810.95?
Well, we can see what we can do for $810.95.
Crayons.
Yeah, doesn't hurt.
So, if you have any questions on that, I'll be glad to talk about it now. If you think, I know it's a lot, think about it, if you wanna have a phone call or virtual call or in-person meeting, just let me know.
I mean, I think that's definitely beneficial.
Yeah.
One way or another.
I also agree, I think we need to see exactly where we're at.
Yeah.
So we're not
Yeah,
way in the hole.
right. Not to switch gears, but, community crossings grants, those are due coming up, right?
Yes, and I think you spoke with Chad a little bit, and so we're gonna be working on getting you, a cost estimate for those areas, so you can kind of make decisions on what you wanna do. Did you guys have a budget number of what you wanted to, use for match? Or do you wanna,
Do you know offhand?
For this year?
yeah, for what will go in the application in the October round?
This October?
Yeah,
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 we had 50,000.
okay,
And that's for the current year, right? So if we do the work next year, there'll be an additional, right?
No, there's only 50,000 for
There's-
next year.
There's no,
It doesn't carry
Oh,
over
it
like
doesn't?
that.
okay,
so I think the way, we'll have to have a letter of commitment for, when that application goes in, there has to be a commitment letter from the town that says that you have these funds for this.
okay.
And then, so I'll check in with Chad again and make sure that we're working to get you guys the information so you can review it and make sure, this is, based on estimates of this street and this street and what you wanna do. And did you have a set of plans you want me to take? Okay, don't let me leave without them.
I won't.
Then we can get that scope set for that. So yes, definitely have to get that submitted by October 31st. It opens October 1st to October 31st. So, do you have a meeting in October that we need to have that, like, for you to be able to approve it at that meeting?
Our meeting's October 6th,
Okay,
so
okay.
we need to make that
Yeah.
on the agenda then. So we didn't have a very big meeting, who asked that?
We're getting there.
Yes.
Lynn did.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I think that helps, and I think, is it Catherine Street, is that your priority? Catherine is a priority, yeah.
What was your next one?
Josephine. And then East Car Street, but that's gonna have to be layers up because the sidewalk's too low. You guys agree?
Is that sidewalks too?
Yes, if it had sidewalks before, we can replace them, and I think Catherine did,
Catherine did, and,
Joseph.
Josephine did, but it was under 6 inches of soil.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, but they're
It
there.
was there,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Jasper made sure that
you got it
he
documented.
documented it,
Okay.
yes.
Good.
Good,
So,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
We'll work on that.
So how soon do you think that would be feasible to think to be completed? I mean, that's gotta be approved and all that, so it's,
Yeah, so the applications go in October, and I forget what the notification date is, but I think, and then we have to have it bid in 3 months from now. So it would have to be bid, next spring.
right, I would assume better.
So, yeah, hopefully we get moving, construction season for sure next year. I know I've gotta get the quotes package for the bid package for the sewer on Main Street. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm,
Anything else?
I don't think so. Thanks for the, info on the park situation.
Okay, sure, you're welcome, yeah, and if that is the point where you wanna move forward, just let me know.
Yeah.
and we'll-
I don't know where the Ready Grant went. Have you heard anything on the 2.0? Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know if Mary, Southeast Regional Planning would probably, they seem to be kind of, or they're the ones we've worked with the most on this little bit that we've had.
Yeah.
But I know, I think Seminole was kind of hoping to hear something on that too, and I don't
Yeah.
know that they've heard anything
Yeah,
either.
I have a couple of other questions for Mary, so I'll reach out. That's all I can think of. Anybody else?
Well, thank you for doing this extra meeting, I appreciate
No,
it.
thank you. We kind of had a couple things to go through anyway, so.
Good.
So, thanks so much. Are you leaving this here with us then, or?
You're welcome to it.
Okay.
I know everybody wants it, don't fight it.
Yeah. There you go.
You guys want to?
Do we have another couple things? We have, Bowman escalating charges first.
Oh, gotcha.
So I guess we'll go there and see about that.
So the water portion's 22,520 and the sewer is 4,615 for a total of 27,135.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. All right, no one care to comment on the agenda items? We just need a motion to
Sal?
adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Doug, if you'd be so kind to kill the switch.